Hello, and welcome to the to another episode of Arn and Eddie Experience. I am Eddie Cyburns. Joining me as always is Arn, who has had a lovely journey to try and get here. He had to take
Yeah,
a train from Coventry, didn't you, Arn?
yeah. I was in Coventry. I basically missed the connection. So, like, we were supposed to leave Coventry after the game. We had to watch Coventry United win this afternoon, and
Oh, okay.
when we left, it was like, well, we will go to we went to the Sky Blues Tavern. It's basically the Coventry City pub. It's by the Ring Road, by the Sky Dome. So we went in there to watch the Man City game. The Man City game with Newcastle, and because of that, I missed the train, and then I missed the connection, and then I got home at late would be when I got back. So basically late.
Yes, late, very late.
Very late.
So
I apologise.
So what we're going to talk about? Yeah, I know. We don't really have a kind of set list of things to talk about. Probably could talk about the main talking point is probably kind of the Manchester United saga of everything. They've kind of been trying to sign a ton of players.
We didn't get to talk about Brentford last week because
We didn't.
last weekend I was ill. Basically, I lost my voice, so I couldn't talk. It kind of felt like it was pointless having a thing because I'd be like,
It would be me doing a lot of talking. So,
well, that'd be different. And
yeah.
the Brentford game last weekend, I was absolutely. If I was a Man United fan, I would have been so angry about that because they were so gutless. They were so completely useless. The players they have do not fit into the system that Eric Ten Hag is trying to play. And they didn't fit into the system that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was trying to play. They're basically the players don't fit into any system because they're just a bunch of lazy wankers. So, like, I was saying this in the pub earlier, and I've been saying it for however long David De Gea has been a Manchester United player. He's a bad footballer. He is terrible. The one thing David De Gea can do is save shots.
Yep.
In modern goalkeeping, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
Let's be serious here. It's just not good enough. So he can save shots sometimes when he feels like it. So against Brentford, he got a daisy cutter off somebody early doors, went straight under his body. That's 1-0. And then he started trying to be clever with his passing out from the back. He can't pass the ball, so that's number 2. He can't pass it. Like, he can barely shot stop. I have issues with his distribution in general. He has no control over his penalty area, which for a modern goalkeeper is completely unacceptable. He can't catch crosses, so there's no point like even considering him doing that because the defense knows he can't catch crosses. He can't control his penalty area, so they have to deal with it for him. So when he does come out, which is very rare, but when he does come out, he just causes problems. He is just generally awful in the air. I just don't understand why he's been a starting goalkeeper at a major club for as long as he has. And he's on stupid money as well, Eddie. He's on £375,000 a week to be incompetent.
Yeah.
Which, for me, if I was going into Manchester United, the first player I would have binned off, and I said this when Solskjaer went in there, the first player I would get rid of is De Gea because he's terrible. And you start with your building blocks. You start at the back. You start at the back and you build forwards. So their problem is not that they don't have a centre forward. Their problem is they don't have a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
For me. And then the problems go on from there. So like, I think defensively, I think they're terrible. In midfield, I think they're terrible. And up front, I think they're terrible. Man United might have the worst squad when they're out of possession. I think Man United has the worst squad in the Premier League. And they could legitimately be relegated this season.
I think looking back at it and looking at the way their team is kind of like there have been rumours that Ten Hag has been inquiring about getting someone to challenge De Gea. One of the names was Jan Sommer, which I think that's a good signing to get.
It is. But the thing is, the way it read to me in the media was they were after Jan Sommer to compete with De Gea for the first. let's be serious here. If they sign Jan Sommer, he would walk into that team. He would be the number one goalkeeper, and De Gea would never kick the ball again.
Yep, and I think that's how it is.
Far better goalkeeper than De Gea. The thing is, wages wise, Sommer you're looking at 120, 150k, I would say, probably a week to have him come in there. So financially, it wouldn't make sense for them to have him as the starting goalkeeper. And this is the problem with a big club. When you're a big club and you make a big mistake like De Gea, you're paying for it forever. Unless you just give up on them and let them go, you're just paying for it forever. Chelsea did this with Kepa. So Kepa Arrizabalaga, he's not a bad goalkeeper, but he's not a goalkeeper that is capable of playing in the role that Chelsea wanted him to. So they paid him too much money, and now they can't get rid of him. But he's not playing because he's not in the team because he's not good enough.
Well, he's on loan now somewhere. I can't remember where he's on loan to, but he's away at the moment, Kepa.
But he's been sat on their bench for the past year and a half.
Well, yeah, because Mendy's a better fit.
Kepa, he's a competent goalkeeper. So Chelsea, they knew they made a mistake, and they had to admit to it, which was painful. It's painful when you're a big club and you know you've done something stupid and you don't want to admit to it. But Chelsea had to. They had to suck it up, and they went, we made a mistake. Kepa's on the bench. Mendy comes in. Mendy has a great season. People forget about Kepa. De Gea should have been dropped a long time ago. Let's be serious. A long time. I'm not talking about this season or last season. I'm talking about the season after he signed, because he's never been good enough.
Yeah.
And I've said it the whole time. You can go back. You can probably find it on my Twitter, me saying that I thought he was bad for years and years and years ago. I've always thought De Gea was bad. I'm glad everyone else has finally realised that De Gea is a bad goalkeeper. He has one thing that he can do, and frequently he doesn't do that properly. So what's the point? What is the point of him?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about him. I just think he has. Like I said, I kind of agree with you. I don't think he is up to scratch. There have been certain. I think he's closing in on a loan move to, or at least was closing in on a loan move to Napoli, Kepa, but he's still at Chelsea at the current moment. But like
I said, that was a mistake though. They knew they'd made that mistake. And when you make a mistake of that magnitude, you are stuck with that player. Because when you're a big Premier League team, it's really hard to offload a mistake. It's okay if you make a mistake with a player like I'm trying to think of a really good example where it's like a mid kind of player, and like you make a mistake and you just let them go and it's fine. But you make a mistake like Man United have, like with bringing Pogba back, I think it was a mistake. They got stuck with him. They eventually offloaded him back to Juventus. But when you make a mistake with a player like De Gea, you're stuck with him. And they made a mistake with Ronaldo as well. Nobody wanted Ronaldo, and that should have sent like alarm bells ringing. But like, it's one of them things where it's like, when you dated a girl in high school, and she was really pretty in high school. She was really pretty, and then like 20 years later, you're down the pub and you see that girl from high school and she's single again, and she kind of slips the number over to you and goes, give me a call. That was Man United and Ronaldo. Like, Man United was in the pub, they were drunk. Ronaldo slipped the phone number in there. And they've rung Ronaldo up in the morning going, do you really want me back? Oh, babe. And then the next thing they know, they're in for 25 million.
Well, that's clearly because, like, who is Man City in that scenario? Because that is all on Man City.
Yeah, Man City in that scenario. So so Pep Guardiola's in the bar as well. So there's Man United. Ollie's at the bar, at the wheel, and down the other end of the bar's Pep. And Pep's looking good. He's got his suit on. He's got his Sunday best. He's looking handsome as. And Ronaldo's looking at Pep down the end of the bar, going, "Oh my God, that is one sexy football manager."
And then Ollie comes along.
Ollie's like, "No, don't look at him. Don't look at him."
So we talk. Hi, Dave. So we talk. So obviously, Man United. I think Rangnick said it best, and Rangnick should have been sacked, or shouldn't have. You know, they should have taken his advice. That team needs, as you said, a complete.
Rangnick is the only person who's ever spoken common sense at Man United since Ferguson left. Rangnick is the only person who's actually gone in there and gone like, "Oh my God, this needs fixing now. You need to clear out 10 players. This is a complete fire sale. Just get rid of everybody. We'll start again."
Yeah.
And they ignored him.
Yep. And the only one left should be Phil Jones. So that's the only one who's still there somehow. Casemiro, do you think he's going to make a benefit on United at the moment?
No.
Because not how they're looking. It's not who they need at the moment.
Casemiro is 30 years old. He doesn't need to prove anything. He is going to Manchester United for financial reasons. I don't blame him in the slightest. He's not going to make any difference to the way that they play. He's not going to make any difference to the success of the club. He is strictly going there for money. And as I said, I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. If I was Casemiro, I would take them to the cleaners. I would take the longest possible contract they're offering. I would take as much money as they wanted to give me. And then I would do exactly what all the other clowns are doing there. I just steal from them because they're idiots and they deserve it.
We've got, I mean, as I said, Anthony is...
I'm so sniffing.
Anthony has been left out of the Ajax squad for the moment. It looks like they're edging closer to getting him. They're working their hardest to try and get him. The Cunha link from Atletico Madrid has gone cold, or at least we've not heard anything about that since.
I don't think Man United has learned a single thing over the last. When did Ferguson leave? I can't remember.
So he left in.
It's been a while, right? It's been at least 10 years.
2013-14 season, I think, wasn't it? Because it was Moyes in almost right away.
Can we just get a...
he was in till 2013. Then he left.
So we're basically looking at a decade now. We're looking at a decade of failure at Man United. And the whole time, it doesn't matter what your opinion is of the Glazers. They have spent money. They haven't been clever with it at all. There's been no coherent strategy with signing players at any point. Since Ferguson has left, there's been no guy in charge going, I need these players, and these players will form a team. That all that they've ever done is go, who's the most expensive player that is available for us now? And that's including Ronaldo. Ronaldo is the most expensive player that was available for them last year, so they bought him. Sancho was available for a lot of money, but it was like, oh, well, let's get him. Yeah, he's a left winger. He plays on the left wing, not the right wing. So they spent a ton of money on Sancho, ton of money on Ronaldo, ton of money on Bruno, which is Bruno is possibly the only one that's worked out because they actually bought a player in a position that they needed at a time when they needed him, and it kind of worked. But literally every other player, it's just there's a player available like Varane, Casemiro. It's just like who's available, and they end up with this this quilt of stuff that they've sewn together, and then it's like the quilt is in the lap and they're sewing all these bits together, and they're going like, "Oh, Luke Shaw, Maguire," and then they pull it up, and it's this absolute monstrosity because they put together 11 players that can't play together, who have nothing in common whatsoever. It's just they were the best that was available at the time for the money that they had, and that's Man United. And they can't see what's wrong, and they cannot see it. They do the same thing every transfer window. It's like if the next transfer window, think of an old player that is no good anymore. Aubameyang. So say Aubameyang was available in the next transfer window, and they desperately needed a striker. Bang! There we go. Let's put him in that team. Absolutely useless in that team.
I mean, he's already signing for Chelsea, apparently. So there you go.
That's not Chelsea's fault, there, thing. But you see my point, though. It's like it's a player that's available that has got basically nothing left, and then they've gone like, okay, let's have this player who's broken. Let's put him in to fix our skull.
There's like, I think
over and over again, though. It's like every transfer window.
I like how this is the episode where you ran over Man United, and last one was when I ran over Barcelona. I think there's some clear miscommunication between, or the communication isn't there between the scouting unit and the network and whoever's dealing with the transfers, as in the director of football and Ten Hag.
So they brought Derek Ten Hag in, but they've not asked him what he wants to do. Or if they have, they've ignored it. Because he's clearly said, I want Frankie de Jong. Get me Frankie de Jong. And they've got him Casemiro. Do you think he sat there in his office going, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. He's 7 years older. He probably doesn't give a shit about this football club. He doesn't play the same position.
Well, I mean, I think De Jong clearly just doesn't want to go to United, because there's got to be something there where, I mean, and we could go into details because, Barcelona are accusing, fans of Barcelona are accusing De Jong of taking, you asked for a higher wage in your contract renewal, and Barca said yes, so you have to take the blame on this, Frankie, because we cannot register Jules Koundé, and Jules Koundé might end up leaving if he's not registered by a certain period of time, so that'll be funny.
If any Barcelona players are blaming Frankie de Jong for the problems at that club, then they're absolutely deluded. Because last season, Frankie de Jong and Pedri are basically what made Barcelona competitive. You take those two players out of that team, and they were completely useless. Those are the two players that got the job done. It was Frankie de Jong and Pedri. And occasionally, Frankie had a bad game. Occasionally, Pedri had a bad game. But they didn't both have bad games at the same time. And that's the reason why Barcelona were not completely up the river, without a paddle. It's the reason why the club didn't completely implode last year, because they had those two players. To blame Frankie de Jong.
Fans are, not the players, but fans are.
But even from a fan point of view, I can't see how you could possibly blame him for what's going on at that club.
So the tweet was about him agreeing to. Let me see if I can find it, because I had it on here.
I saw the tweet.
The tweet was pretty clear.
I thought it was disgustingly stupid, to the point where, if you believe that, you should probably just stop following football, because you don't understand the sport.
Yeah, you renegotiate your contract with the ongoing president to double your already huge salary, knowing that the club is already in crisis, and then categorically refuse to reconsider the offer. I'm sorry, some of this is on you, Frankie, which is utter bollocks.
If Barcelona is a club in crisis, why are they signing 6-7 players this summer? If they're a club in crisis, they would sign 0 players. They're not a club in crisis. They're a club in denial. They're a club that has refused to pay attention to the laws and the regulations of La Liga. They're absolutely paying the price for this. They deserve to be punished. They're not getting punished. And And to blame it on Frankie de Jong, or to boo Martin Braithwaite when he came on last week is absolutely disgraceful. Those Barcelona fans should be embarrassed with their behaviour. Absolutely embarrassed with their behaviour because they're a disgrace. And Barcelona should be a club of the people, and those players are part of that. And it's the players, it's the fans against the man. And the man, and I hate to say this, Eddie, the man is Madrid. And they are not collectively working together here. They're collectively pulling themselves apart. And it breaks my heart to see it because...
It doesn't break mine. Fuck them.
What Barcelona should be is a template for professional football. They should be the club that you put them on a pedestal because what they do... When they're not spending stupid money on footballers, what Barcelona do is, in the roots of what they do, is basically what should be football. And over the last couple of years, they've just got it wrong. The last set of people that ran the club got it wrong. Laporta's gone in to take over to try and fix the problems that they had before. And let's face it, the club was broken when he got in there, but like he's gone in there, he has not done.
There's no fix. There's no fix for the moment. Not with everything they've got at the moment.
So they should be the conscience of what is right in football, and that is absolutely correct. As a fan-owned club, Barcelona should be respectable, and the way that they behaved is an absolute disgrace.
Yep. Because they're not used to losing, and they're not used to having things their own way. They've been for far.
They could have come out of this smelling like roses because there's a massive financial crisis. All they needed to do was not behave like a bunch of idiots.
But
like
they can't.
But
the problem is they need success. They need it now. They need to finally be able.
They're not that far off Real Madrid.
I mean,
they're not.
But they're not that. But the thing is, they're bringing players in.
I watched them last season. They weren't that bad.
Okay, and they finished second behind Real by about 11, 12 points. Enough points.
Eddie, at the start of the season, that Barcelona team was a disgrace. It was an absolute mess. They fixed it. They brought a load of players in. They were much better towards the end of the season. I feel like they would have been competitive this season. The fact that they've spent their entire off-season their off-season has been a shambles. It's been a disgrace.
When you cannot afford to register players and you're having to try and get other players to take wage cuts so you can register these players, you're a shambles of a football club. Your fans are scummy. And this is coming from yes, I'm a Real Madrid fan, but the thing is, Real Madrid, and as I said this last week, not last week, 2 weeks ago, Real Madrid do not try and spend out their means. If they can afford a player, they'll make sure to bring that player in, like Tukameni, who they brought in this summer. They should probably sign a striker. Absolutely, I think that's one of the main things they need to do at some point. But they're not going wild because they've seen that. That was the Galacticos era. They've seen stuff like that. They're smart enough to know better. This team, however, because it's this president and bringing in another president and stuff like that, I don't think anyone knows what's going on. I don't think
like that has been the case for a long time in Spain, though, because you have Barcelona on one hand, you have Real Madrid on the other, and they've always tried to outspend each other. They've always tried to outdo each other. And Real Madrid last season, they got it right. They cleared the decks. They got rid of all the high-paid players. They brought in Carlo Ancelotti, a really sensible manager who does sensible things, relies on the most consistent and most reliable players. And not only did they win La Liga, they also win Champions League because he's a great manager and that's what he does. Whereas Barcelona knew that they were behind. They knew they were behind at the start of last season.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of going like, okay, well, we're behind, but we'll catch them up in a couple of years. They were like, no, we need to catch them up now. no. And it's
Yeah.
they've just spent stupid money on players they don't need, and they've just piled players into the club, and it's just, if you're Memphis Depay, you'd be like, a year ago you desperately needed me, and now what? You don't need me at all.
You're hoping to terminate the contract so they can go to.
Just throw him out so you can go play for someone else.
But
What
that's
is that?
this is the thing. This is the thing, though. Like, look at how terrible. Like, I know you're talking about at the tail end of the season that team got better. Look at their performance in the Europa League. Look at when the fact they were even in the Europa League, and they absolutely got embarrassed at home by Eintracht Frankfurt. They were still a poor team.
But Eintracht Frankfurt was an established team where the players had been together for a while and they knew what they were doing. The Barcelona problem, it's the same as the Real Madrid problem. If the same thing happened to Real Madrid next season and they suddenly like jumped, like got off a cliff in terms of their performance and their form, you see the same thing happen with them. It's like they have to be the best.
I think the problem is, though, the difference is that with Real Madrid, they have signed these players. They've got their quality aged players, the Luka Modric and stuff like that. But they are also bringing in the youth ones, so they've got Camavinga and stuff like that. Whereas the players that Barcelona keep signing, I mean, other than Ferran Torres and Eric Garcia.
I don't even like Eric Garcia, but like. Yeah,
you're signing Lewandowski, Depay, and Aubameyang. It's just, I don't know. I think
it's
just trying to throw, as you said, and I agree with you completely. It's throwing money at the wall and trying to see what sticks.
And it's because they're behind. They're behind, and they expect instant success.
Well, they've not won La Liga for how long?
Well, there really is no comparison with. In England, maybe there is. Okay, Scotland is a good comparison because with Celtic and Rangers, if you're not winning the title, if you're one of them, if you're not winning the title, something is drastically wrong, and there's a massive panic. Whoever's not winning, the world is collapsing around them. You know what I mean? It's the same in Spain. It's with Real Madrid and Barcelona. Whoever is not on top, whoever's not the big dog, it's a disaster.
Yeah. The last time they won La Liga was 2018, 2019. That was the last time Barcelona won the La Liga. So that's a good, 5 years now?
Yeah, before 4 or 5 years.
So it's, and Barcelona and Real Madrid made some really poor signings at certain points during that, They lost Ronaldo to Juventus. Zidane resigned, and they brought in the Spanish coach, Lopetegui. So
yeah, that didn't go well, did it?
It did not. Right, we're going to move on quickly. We watched so the two games. I mean, any of the Man United. It's going to be a difficult season. So I watched Newcastle versus Man City. Yeah. You watched Newcastle versus Man City. I also watched Leeds versus Chelsea. I'll just have a quick couple of seconds on that.
I saw a little bit of that. I was in the bar at halftime, so I saw about 10 minutes of that game.
Leeds looked really good. Chelsea just.
To be honest with you, because. Yeah, Leeds have not really signed players that you think, that'll fix it. But I guess like the difference between what Jesse Marsch is doing and what Erik ten Hag is doing at Man United is Jesse Marsch knows what players he needs for the system that he wants to play, and he's getting them in. Whereas Erik ten Hag at Man United knows what players he wants, isn't getting them in, is getting some of the overpriced replacement for that player that isn't going to fit into the system and does not care about the club. Whereas Leeds, young, hungry, they want it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were worried, obviously, when Bielsa left. That Leeds team, since they did not let Chelsea played well for 20 minutes in that game, and it was the first 20 minutes. But Leeds were all over them, and they weren't letting them give up. They were just their midfielders were all covering and going at it. It was great football. And a mistake from Mendy. And then I think they just got rattled from there, and then Koulibaly got sent off later on, which was dumb. And he knew better. But yeah, Tuchel was just, I think Tuchel was completely stunned. And Jesse Marsch has played a blinder. And as I said, he knows the players from Leipzig, from I think either Salzburg or Leipzig. And he's, I think he's been able, they've bought into him and he's bought into them, that when Leeds have hired him, he's basically been able, and as Leeds have known, we know they're going to buy into that because they want that attacking kind of quick football. This team under Bielsa probably would have lost, or at least the game would have been like 5-7, 5-3 or something like that.
That might be a little harsh. I think that would definitely given them a game, but I think
it would have been bad. I'm honest. Let's be honest.
I think there's alarm bells ringing at Chelsea. I know it's early in the season, but they played well against Spurs. I'm not convinced the players have been signed that Tuchel wanted. That will make the difference to how he wants to play and how they want to go forward. I think there's big problems there.
Yeah. It's a bit interesting. I mean, so that game, Leeds are quite interesting. I think I'm enjoying their style of football. Chelsea need to I think Chelsea still need a couple of pieces more to add. But
I'd be really worried. Look, if I was a Chelsea fan, I mean, let's face it, I'm an Everton fan. I'm already really worried. But from a Chelsea point of view, there's concerns there. Like, what are they playing? Is the formation going to be a 4 at the back, or are they happy with a 3? Does he know what his best team is? Does he know what his best forward players are? Is he playing through the middle? Like, where's the goal threat coming from? I just don't think he knows what his best team is, and I don't think he knows how to fix it either, which is like it's a double whammy of problems for Tuchel. And with Arsenal and Tottenham improving as well, it's a difficult spot for him.
I think Tottenham have improved the most. I mean, Arsenal and Tottenham are now in the category of title challenge.
I think Arsenal is a bit of a push to say they're in the title challenge, but they are way better than they were last year. I feel like Jesus and Zinchenko are giving them like an extra level of professionalism. They're kind of missing pieces in the puzzle there. Possibly a little bit of experience as well. They were lacking. I said to you though about Arsenal. I said this last season, and you scoffed, Eddie. Scoffed. And you said, I said, he's doing good work there, Arteta. I feel he's going in the right direction. And you're like,
yeah, because I'm. It's it's difficult.
It's on tape.
I'm not arguing. I'm not denying it. Do I hear myself denying it?
No.
I still think Spurs probably have the better team overall. I think Saliba coming back from loan is amazing. He's done incredibly well. That's a piece of the puzzle they needed.
In a way, that's kind of, it's a form of man management from Arteta, because he's let him go out. He's let him get the experience. But he's only brought him back when he thought he was ready for the Premier League. So like last season, he was particularly good. And he's been out on loan for like 2 years. And he's brought him back at the point where he's gone like, okay, I've seen enough now. I think he's ready. And he's let him mature. So like when he signed him, he was 18. I think he's 20 now. 20 is still really young for a central defender in the Premier League. But he looks so good.
Oh, yeah. Forget the own goal from last week. The goal he scored this week was tremendous.
You could often, when it comes to own goals, I'd rather the defender made the challenge than let it run. So with Saliba, when he's knocked it into his own net, I'd rather he made that tackle and got in there and won the ball. He's got unlucky with it. I'd rather he did that than left it run. If you let it run, it could go anywhere. It's potentially a goal. He tries to clear it and he just got unlucky. It's just one of those things. I know as a defender, you need to make that challenge. I think Saliba is better than his years. Like, I think he feels like a 24, 25-year-old, like in his prime.
Yeah.
So it's like a new signing for him, for Arsenal.
It's a boost in the arm for them, absolutely. And it'll be very interesting to see him. We'll keep an eye on that overall. In terms of other things, Tottenham won against Wolves. Not really much else happened.
Tottenham,
over the other games.
Tottenham weren't convincing yesterday, but they still won. And I think that's part of the Conte way, is that they're not necessarily going to play outstanding football in every game, but they're going to grind those results out. And that's what teams that are in contention for stuff like league titles is what they do. Like, you don't see that from teams that are bad. Like a bad team, they'll play that game, they'll huff and puff, and they won't be able to do anything because the opposition has closed down the space, and it ends up in 0-0. Or the other team, like say Wolves in this case, they'll go to a winner. But that didn't happen. I thought Tottenham did really well in a situation where last season, not convinced they win that game. This season, 3 points.
Yeah. Conte has done incredibly well with that team. I don't know what he's done, but he seems to have done.
Look at the play he brought in. I mean, Tottenham weren't a bad team, but they were.
Yeah.
I don't want to compare them to Man United because I thought they were better than Man United already. But like when he went in there, he's taken the players that were useful, and he's basically added everywhere where there were shortcomings. And he's built the squad as well to the point where he's bringing players on that you're not sure if they should be starting. Like when he brings Richarlison on, I'm like, surely he should be in the starting 11. But then, like, where does he play? Like
he replaces either Son or Kulievsky.
And
if Kane is injured, replaces Kane.
Perisic as basically a wing back, which I mean, Perisic for Inter was playing like as a wide guy in a 3. So you're looking at a dude that has gone from being like basically an AML or an AMR and sticking him in as a wing back. He's kind
WBR, WBL now.
It's pretty crazy business to think that he can do that, but like he can do it. So that's where he's playing him. But yeah, Tottenham have improved dramatically since Conte went there. And the manager can make a world difference.
Yep. We'll talk about quick strugglers. West Ham still not won a game yet.
I don't think that's a major problem. I think Moyes is a fine manager. Like, his squad is all right. It's just one of them things. Like, they probably should have won at Forest, but they just got bullied a little bit by one of the new teams. I think they'll be all right. It's just...
I'm wondering if it's maybe time to kind of...
Any West Ham fans that are like calling for Moyes' head?
No. I don't think they are, but it is a bit of a concern.
If they are, then you need to check your business.
Everton getting a draw.
That wasn't good.
No,
that was not good. When you're playing host to a team that's just come up, they're a little bit inconsistent. They've won their first home game. That's fine. But their first away game was at Newcastle. They got bullied by a Premier League team. Everton should have won that game. The fact that they don't have a centre forward was so obvious. Just in highlights form, it's like you haven't got a centre forward. If I was Lampard, I would take the 40-odd million that they're offering for Anthony Gordon. I would go and buy a centre forward.
Yeah, I'd say
so. Also,
I
would go back to the summer and not buy Dwight McNeil because it's terrible.
Also, maybe
That is also, you can see that on tape. I said he was awful last season.
and also, well done on getting rid of Dele Alli. Right, let's
Pay a
move
penny
in.
for him.
Yeah, let's move into the
Not a
final
penny.
topic. Let's talk about Saudi Arabia versus United Arab Emirates. Manchester City versus Newcastle United. What was your thoughts on it? And if it's not United Arab Emirates, I'm not apologising. I can't remember who it is.
Is it Qatar?
Qatar, one of them.
You might be
Um,
right. Honestly, I don't know. I don't care.
What were your thoughts on the game?
I think it was a great game from Newcastle's point of view. It's one of those where, like, Man City didn't play particularly well and still scored 3 goals. Where, like, they're going to win the league. Man City are going to win the league. This kind of game where they have a test of the cat. It is UAE. It's UAE.
Thanking you.
It's one of them games where this was a test for Man City. It's not a test for Newcastle. Newcastle this season will be fine. They're going to be kind of upper mid table. It's going to be a lot more comfortable than it has been. For the, I don't even know how many seasons they've been in the Premier League, but every season it seems like it's been a borderline disaster for them.
Ever since Ashley left. Yeah, I mean, I think the signings they've made, as they were kind of talking about, Botman is good.
Yeah, he looked very solid, Botman. Yeah.
The first 4 minutes kind of was a little. I think they did get a little bit rattled by the occasion, but then I think that's the best we've seen St. Maximin play in a while. I mean, he got 3 assists technically. They are, bringing Almiron played quite well, and he's been kind of a bit of a sour face in terms of people looking back at him. I still think the best signing Newcastle made was Nick Pope. It's a quality signing, and a quality performer. But yeah, Man City just have that quality where they can get back into it. We saw last season, in the last day of the season, when the Aston Villa, in the final day, they can come back into it. Newcastle just had, when they had their moments, they took them.
I mean, to be fair, Newcastle's a better team than Aston Villa as well. Like, the difference between them, I think Newcastle this season, Villa last season. If I was going to pick one of them, I would definitely pick this Newcastle team over that Villa team. Mm-hmm. I think Newcastle today looked okay. It's going to be a while before they're competing at the level that the ownership want them to be competing at, which I think that's fine. I was saying to you before we started recording, I was really annoyed they hadn't gone out and bought like 6 Neymars, gone and absolutely spunked the money on like anyone that could possibly sign us. Start ringing up Jorge Mendes. How much do you want for Ronaldo? And like just getting him in there. Because they're the kind of club where they have that much money, so it's not an issue. So they could do that if they wanted to. They have been worryingly sensible. They haven't done a Robinho. Their idea of a marquee signing was Sven Botman, which is so sensible. It's actually paining me. I thought they were going to do stupid things. I'm sure everyone thought they were going to do stupid things as well.
Yeah,
and they're not. They're just sitting there going like, see,
Sven Botman and the
we're doing, and there's a little pile of money on the side of the desk, and it's going to get blown over by a fan. But like, they know what they're doing.
Sven Botman and the Pope. That's the 2 they've signed. Again, I think
like Guimaraes back in January. They've been making smart signings, and it's worrying. I think they're actually going to continue to do smart things, and they've brought Eddie Howe in, and instead of being like this guy that this Alan Partridge character where he just kind of walks in and they Mike Bassett character where it's just like he's just kind of walking down corridors in the back of St James's with big bundles of cash to give to agents. He's actually like been told, no, we really want you. We really want you to manage the club. Go out and do your thing. And they've let him do it. And it seems like they've let him bring in players that he wants, as opposed to players that some guy in who owns him? Saudi Arabia. Some guy in Saudi Arabia, some crown prince, has gone like he's seen him on TV, and he goes like, "Oh, sign David Beckham." And then Eddie Howe has to explain to the guy, "Sir, David Beckham has tried. No, I want Bobby Charlton." So it's like it's this kind of scenario that in my head it was what was going to happen, but it's not. They've literally gone like, "All right, you're a football guy. You be the football guy and bring in the players that you need," and it seems to be working. And I'm annoyed that the Saudis have kept themselves out of the recruitment side of things.
Yokozuna isn't available for the greatest Royal Rumble of all time.
You know exactly what I was thinking though. That Saudi guy who's like, all right, so for this battle royal, I want Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Yokozuna. Yokozuna is dead, sir. What? Bring me Yokozuna's nearest living relative.
I think Newcastle signing Trippier for 12 million from Atletico Madrid is quite possibly one of the shrewdest and best signings. They've done really well, and it annoys me because obviously I don't like the ownership, but still maybe I think a year or two, and they'll be challenging in the position potentially their owners are hoping.
I think they can probably crack into the top four if they are sensible.
Yeah,
and they have been worryingly sensible so far. I think the biggest concern for me, if I supported Newcastle, which I don't because they're owned by people who murdered gays, but if I was a Newcastle supporter, I would be concerned that there is a lot of high quality teams in the Premier League, and it's very difficult to crack that top four. So you would need Arsenal to have a bad season, which at the moment Arsenal's looking great. Spurs under Conte, you need them to have a bad season, or Liverpool under Klopp, or Man City under Pep. Mm-hmm. You need one of those four to have a bad season to get in Champions League, and that's not happening next year. I don't think.
I think Europa League at least the best, maybe Conference League, but we'll see what happens.
Where Newcastle are going to be able to leverage things is it's not so much that they're going to throw money at clubs and say, like, here's 60 million for a player. If somebody's going at a contract, it's not unthinkable that somebody of Mbappe's quality, if they're at a contract, Newcastle are there going like, we haven't spent that much money. It's not unfeasible. You're smirking, but it's not unfeasible. They could go in there and go, like, here's a contract. We think it's reasonable. The player looks at it and goes, that's quite a lot of money. And you can get a game changer in.
You can. They gotta just find one. But that was a good game, good exciting game. In other news, Anthony Joshua had a meltdown, losing to Usyk threw the belts down in Jeddah, of course. Where else? Not a lot else happened. We will be hopefully back on Monday. Maybe not. By the way, I'm being told, but we will probably discuss this and we'll let you know. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe. This has been a bit of a weird episode because we didn't know what to talk about really and all the things.
No, it's fine. It's all fun.
Listen, it's been great fun.
So next week, I am actually working on. Oh no, I can do it. We did Monday. It's fine.
Well, hey, we will
Monday.
see you all on Monday. If you haven't done so, like and subscribe. Dave, thank you for joining us. Mike, thank you for joining us. And anyone else who joined us, thank you for joining us. Lucas, I will not be talking about AZ Alkmaar, and will not be mentioning anything to do with them.
But
What?
I got a question from Twitter saying, please ask Eddie about Alkmaar.
Shit place, shit people. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you later. Take care.